Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me on my program. I appreciate you wherever you are connecting from. If you are joining me from any part of the world, I thank you very much for your contributions on this channel. Please kindly subscribe if you have not subscribed, and also click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a video. You will be among the first to receive it. In this channel, I bring information to your doorstep. I bring news from all channels, from every angle. Things that have to do about the world, things that have to do about Africa, more especially Nigeria. I bring it to your doorstep, some information that you ignore, some information that you cannot be able to come across. I look for them, I bring it to your doorstep for you to see. Every video you see on this channel is for educational purpose, to keep you up and get you aware of what is happening in the contraction called Nigeria, more especially. I bring the information to your doorstep. They are not lies. Most of the videos you're going to watch here are videos that are coming from the conventional media, and some of us sometimes are lazy to get into it. Some of us sometimes are too busy to be able to lay our hand on this. That is why I bring the videos to your doorstep. Watch from beginning to the end. Remember, these videos are for educational purposes, so that you can be educated and know what is going on. Let us watch together. At the end, you can go to the comment section and put down your comment. Give your opinion. Say it the way you feel it. Nobody's going to come against you. It's a free world, and this is the social media where people say it and set the record straight exactly the way it is without being controlled. Do that on the comment section. Let us watch the video together as it comes. Thank you.
And critically, quite a number of the governors had been produced from a conveyor belt of judicial pronouncements. And with this week's nullification of Senator Ademola Adeleke's victory in last year's governorship contest, the stage is set again for another journey through the tortuous route of Nigerian judiciary. Femi Falana, senior advocate of Nigeria, is a frontline lawyer and human rights activist. He joins us now to offer his thoughts on this week's tribunal ruling and, of course, other pressing issues on the front burner. Good morning, SAN, sir. Many thanks for joining us, Mr. Falana. Good morning.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Let's dive straight into the Osun Tribunal judgment, where it looks like the Beavers, on the one hand, is on trial, but according to analysts and watchers of what has happened, maybe the judiciary might also be on trial. What do we have specifically? We know the pronouncement of the law, but then is there, in the right sense of the word, a minority judgment on the one hand that says the governor ought to have remained in office, or a majority judgment? Did anyone out of the three of them abstain? Give us clarity as to what actually happened and what ordinary people who are now saying what is actually going on about this judgment. What should be the position?
Well, in the first place, it has become manifestly clear that the Beavers is a game changer in our electoral system. And we have to draw some lessons from the Osun case. Secondly, the judiciary is not on trial because as far as the law is concerned, we are dealing with the majority judgment in a three-member panel of judges. It is the decision of the majority that carries the day, even though the minority judgment will also be useful if you are filing an appeal, because I expect the Adeleke group to urge the Court of Appeal to affirm or endorse the judgment, the minority judgment, while the Oyetola will insist that, or will urge the Court of Appeal to affirm the majority judgment. That is the way it is done. It is unfortunate that this journey, which you said is tortuous, will have to end at the Supreme Court, which shouldn't be so. For me, that is the most painful aspect of it, whereby increasingly the courts are being made to replace the electorate in a way that an election is concluded, a return is made by INEC, announcement, the INEC announces the winner, but there is no confirmation of the winner until we move from the Election Petition Tribunal to either the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court. But in this case, it's going to end at the Supreme Court, which shouldn't be so. But the most important aspect of the judgment for me is the use of beavers to capture voters. It is mandatory that every voter must be recorded by the beavers. It is after you have been captured by the beavers as a voter that you will get your ballot paper, thumbprint, and then, drop it. At the end of the whole exercise, the results that are manually recorded in the form EC 8A must tally with the beavers report. In other words, if you are not captured in the beavers and you are said to have voted, that will be said to be overvoting. And that could lead to an annulment of the election in that particular polling unit. So Nigerians are being made to realize that if you want to vote and you want your vote to count, you must ensure that you are captured by the beavers. Now, going from that, in this particular instance, before the petition was filed, Oyetola and the APC applied to the INEC, and INEC gave them, applied to the INEC for the beavers report and the form EC8A. INEC gave them both and certified them on the basis of which the petition was prepared. It was in the middle of the case, during the pendency of the case, that INEC issued another beavers report to the PDP, which formed the basis of their defense. Ditto for INEC. But when the judges examined these documents, the majority of the judges came to the conclusion that the beavers report that is more credible in the circumstance is the one that was issued before the contemplation or before the filing of the petition, and not the one made during the pendency, which could be manipulated, to meet the challenge before the court. I think that is the point that the tribunal made. But all the three judges also agreed that Governor Adeleke embark or engage in forgery of his certificates. So those are the two grounds on which at least the majority of the judges, annulled the election.
Right. Mr. Falana, you alluded earlier that what's really upsetting to you is the fact that, the tribunal is now taking the job of INEC. The tribunal said that they deducted...
It's been made to take the job of INEC.
Yes.
By the INEC.
Right.
By the INEC.
Right. Well, this is...
Because if the ICT department had been more circumspect and had realized the enormity of the responsibility, entrusted on INEC, we shouldn't be in this kind of embarrassing situation once again.
Absolutely. Now, a lot of people are saying because the tribunal deducted the overvoting observed from the votes scored by both candidates and declared Oyetola winner. They're saying, why is it that the election there was not cancelled? And then there should have been a re-election at that point.
Well, that is the provision of the law. The tribunal followed the provision of the law. It's unfortunate because every vote must count. But again, politicians are being warned, the INEC is being warned that we must ensure that the voice of our people count. For me, what the voters may have to do in those areas is perhaps to sue INEC for damages. That you have wasted my votes. Because there must be sanction for impunity.
All right, Mr. Falano, part of what a number of people are also talking about, apart from the fact that they say that, yes, a good number of people might have been disenfranchised when a rerun, could have been called instead of just cancelling their votes. But people are saying that, is there a case for the sitting governor to claim that the judgment was malicious, given the inferences that the chairman of the tribunal made to his dancing buga, and people are saying that if you know where I'm going to, that if that is the position, maybe the judgment will not have been fair to Governor Adeleke, ab initio. What has buga got to do with the letter of the judgment? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please
On a
go
very
on.
serious note, judges it's not unexpected to introduce humor into judgments. And every judge must be current and move with time. And so there is nothing out of the ordinary when you read the judgment. For instance, it's what lawyers will call an obiter dictum. Just by the way, it cannot form the basis of, it can't form a ground of appeal. And I was telling my colleagues in a WhatsApp group, there is nothing strange in judges reflecting the currency, or the current situation in the country. I remember an instance in a Supreme Court case where Justice Esho had to define who is a reasonable man. And for the elite, a reasonable man may be somebody cruising in his 504 car. While for the masses of our people, Justice Esho said, it might be somebody in Kano, taking his tour, or a market woman in Sangros in Lagos, or a man in Okrika dress. And nobody came out to say, oh, why did you use such terms to humiliate the ordinary or the reasonable man in Nigeria? So I think the judges simply introduce humor. And it has nothing to do with the essence of the judgment. Hence, it cannot form a basis of a ground of appeal. No, not at all.
Okay, so there will be an appeal. Governor Adeleke has said that he will go on appeal.
It's already indicated that it's going on appeal.
As indicated. Okay, so explain to us clearly what that means in terms of status quo ante, prevailing. Does it mean that the governor will remain on the seat? Yes. Unlike the ASU, unlike the ASU case, where after ASU lost the case that they took to court, the general feeling was that ASU has lost to the federal government, and the lecturers ought to return to the classrooms. It won't matter what their grounds of appeal will be, but they ought to return to classroom. But in this case, tribunal has it's not the same. Okay.
Yeah, because the law is very clear on this point. And what the law is saying is that once an appeal is filed within 21 days by the sitting governor, that will constitute a stay of action. It's automatic. In other words, he shall remain in office for the next 4 months or thereabout if he has to proceed to the Supreme Court. Because in the Court of Appeal, there's provision for 60 days. The case will be pursued within 60 days. And if there is a further appeal to the Supreme Court, another 60 days. That's 120 days, or 4 months.
All right.
So do we have a case of
It isn't so. It isn't good, because what some of us had insisted over the years is that election petitions be concluded before the inauguration of a government.
I had asked
governor.
Right.
But in a situation like this, where the entire people of that state now, are subjected to some suspense. They don't know how the Court of Appeal or the Supreme Court will eventually decide the case. It's not very good. It's not good enough.
I had asked earlier, Mr. Falana, about the case of overvoting and the fact that the tribunal has declared Oyetola by deducting votes from both candidates. And you had said something about the law. I'd like for you to clarify that. And also, why should Adeleke be the only one to pay for the sins of the overvoting? Now, will the election not have been declared inconclusive?
Well, as far as the law is concerned, wherever overvoting has taken place, the elections are usually cancelled, because the tribunal is not in a position to determine who committed the offense, who was responsible for overvoting. But usually the beneficiary is always penalized. The beneficiary is always penalized. Once you are not in a position to warn the voters and ensure that the electoral officers do not allow overvoting, you may have to pay for it, unfortunately. But in this particular instance, voters that were not captured by beavers, but whose votes were recorded manually in the form EC8A, caused the problem.
Do you see
So when you look at it, they are likely to have been the members of the PDP who voted for the governor.
Okay, do you see a case of deja vu here? If we return to 4 years ago, former Governor Oyetola won the election, and Adeleke challenged it, went to the tribunal. He won at the tribunal but lost at the appeal and the Supreme Court. Here we are 4 years after. Adeleke is governor. He's been challenged. Oyetola took him to the tribunal. He has won at the tribunal. What do you think may likely happen at the appeal and at the Supreme Court?
Well, looking at the judgment, I believe very strongly that it's going to be a daunting task to impeach the judgment. INEC has to be held completely responsible for what happened. And that is why it is good that this election has taken place. INEC will have to go back to the drawing table so that we do not have this experience. INEC will have to put his house in order, because if we witness this in a general election, in the presidential election, whereby you issue 2 or 3 beavers report, you could have a crisis of monumental proportion in the country.
Yeah, but what it means...
So, INEC will have to be...
Yeah. But does it... In about 22 states of the Federation. One area, as you know, is what happens when INEC cancels an election at a poll where violence happens. And people are saying that there is a tendency to orchestrate violence by a particular party in a stronghold of another party just to have elections cancelled there. Can that logic not be transferred to the issue of overvoting, where you can deliberately instigate that, make it happen in the stronghold of the opposition, and have the elections cancelled? Would that not constitute a form of manipulations, one way or the other?
No, you are missing 2 points. I mean, overvoting and violence. You could have a peaceful election, almost concluded, and then you may just have a gang of thugs coming to disrupt the entire election. Now, if it is beyond, if voters are helpless in the circumstance, and the violence is overwhelming, that an election cannot take place, INEC is empowered to conduct a fresh election in that place. But where you refuse to be captured by beavers, and you are allowed to vote, so you have a case of overvoting at the end of the day. And the votes that were not properly, recorded would then have to be cancelled. That's the difference.
All right. So,
Either by the beavers before you cast your votes, because most Nigerians want their votes to count, but your votes can only count if you follow the procedure, outlined by the law. And for our judiciary, or for the judiciary, our courts must refrain from usurping the powers of the electorate. The people must decide who they want as their leaders. But in asking the courts to uphold the integrity of elections, the political parties, their agents, INEC officials, and the INEC leadership must ensure that proper elections are conducted. Because we must get to a stage in this country where after an election, people can say, we are not going to court. Because it will be a time-wasting exercise. We are going to waste our money if the credibility of the election cannot be doubted. And that was what happened in the United States of America. In 2020, when between November and January, before the inauguration of the president, new president, elected president, President Biden, the cantankerous President Donald Trump filed about 62 cases, and all of them were determined by the courts and dismissed before the inauguration of the president. So we must get to that stage here where elections should be well conducted to the extent that nobody will upturn the results in any tribunal or court.
All right, Mr. Femi Falana, SAN, we would like to thank you very much for joining us on the Morning Show today.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have been educated with this video. I hope you have learned something from the video you just watched. Please go to the comment section and put down your comments. Whatever you think about the video you have watched, or anything you have learned that you wanted to share together, go to the comment section and keep yourself busy. It's a free place where people share their opinion. And please, if you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly subscribe to the channel. Click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time a video comes out. And also, share the video to your family and friends. Share it to all platforms so that people can get aware of what is happening in the world, mainly in the contraption called Nigeria. We have to keep people on their toe, keep people informed on what is going on. That is exactly what we are doing. Every video you are watching in this channel is for the purpose of education and nothing more. Thank you so much for watching, and remember blessed. Bye-bye. See you again.